Gorgeous, gorgeous girls love reading. Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my second channel. Today I'm going to be going over my January, February, and March reading wrap up. Basically just going through every single book I've read so far this year. I know a lot of other YouTubers like to do this every single month, like a January one, a February one, a March one, but I just don't really feel like that's my style. I feel like it's better to do them in chunks. That way you get just like big updates throughout the year. I'm gonna split it up into months of 3. So this is the first. So there will be 4 reading wrap-ups, and then I'll probably do one huge reading wrap-up at the end of the year, if all goes to plan. My New Year's resolution is to read more for enjoyment, and so I have been doing that. Trust me. But before 2022, I have just been reading very casually. I used to be a huge worm in middle school, like, you know, the Hunger Games, Divergent, Twilight era. Like, I was reading all the time back then, but I just kind of stopped as I got into high school and college because I studied creative writing and I did take a lot of English classes in high school as well. So I was having to read a lot for school, and it kind of like destroyed my love of reading for a little while. But now that I'm graduating, I literally graduate a month from today. Slay! I have a lot more time on my hands to actually read for enjoyment. I don't have to read all these assigned books anymore. So yeah, I'm not going to be talking about the books that I read on my Kindle. Honestly, I have yet to read a single Kindle Unlimited book that has wowed me enough that I feel like it's even really worth talking about. So I'm just doing my physical reading wrap up, and I have pretty much full reviews and ratings on my Goodreads for every book. So for time's sake, I'm not gonna like spend 5 minutes on each book talking about it. I'm gonna give like a brief 1 to 2 sentence summary, tell you my rating, and keep it moving. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into it. We're gonna start from January and move like chronologically. The first book that I picked up that actually really, I think, catapulted me back into wanting to read. I think I started this at the end of December and finished it early January, and that is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I absolutely freaking adore this book. Connell and Marianne are one of my favorite book couples. I feel like this book, it hurts. Some people really don't like this book, and I can understand why, but for me, it just did everything flawlessly. I love Sally Rooney's writing style. I love her character building. This is basically like a character study. There's less plot. It's more about the characters and their relationship as it grows and changes. But basically, Connell and Marianne meet in high school. Marianne is really smart, really nerdy, and she kind of is like an outcast. She keeps to herself, and Connell is quite popular, but they really like each other. Connell's mom actually works for Marianne's family, so they know each other through that. Like after school, Connell will come pick up his mom from work, and they cross paths, so they talk on occasion. They're friendly, but then obviously it blooms into something more. But Connell does not want anybody to know because he's afraid that his friends would judge him if he was dating Marianne. So they have this sort of secret, low-key relationship, and then it kind of continues and flourishes, and the roles reverse, and just all this stuff happens. It follows their relationship from that moment all the way through high school, college, and everything. It's also been made into a TV show that you can watch on Hulu, which is literally perfect. One of the best adaptations I've ever seen from a book to a TV or movie. It did it for me. I have literally had relationships so similar to this where a lot of it's miscommunication. I just find that this, like, they were just so realistic. It literally pained me. And honestly, this book helped give me closure to a past relationship that I never really got closure with. So I love it. 5 stars. Can't shut up about it. We'll never get over it. Gorgeous. Please read it. After that, I picked up It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I saw this all over the internet, decided I would give it a shot. Wasn't as impressed with this one. I'm not gonna go too much into this because I actually just uploaded a video where I read 3 Colleen Hoover books. This one, Ugly Love and Verity, which we'll get into later. And I did full-on reviews and in-depths, like my thoughts and opinions and ratings in that video. So I will link that video in the description box, or I'll put it up in the cards if I remember. But yeah, I gave this a 2.5 star, I think, 3 star. After that, I was really, you could tell I was going out and getting all these books that all these TikTokers were recommending, because I was just hopping back into reading for the first time. So I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Actually, I DNF'd this. I think this is my most controversial book opinion. I absolutely hated this book. I could not even get through it. I just looked up the way that it ended, and honestly, I hated the ending as well, with the whole revelation of how Evelyn and, what is her name? Monique knew each other. gave me the ick. Basically, this follows a woman named Evelyn Hugo. She's basically like Marilyn Monroe, an old Hollywood actress, and she had 7 husbands. And now she is doing a tell-all interview about all of her life and her 7 husbands. And this is like told in basically an interview format almost. But yeah, the writing wasn't bad. I just really hated every single character, and I found myself incredibly bored. Like it was boring. The events that were going on in this book weren't boring. The way that Evelyn told and talked about her life was boring to me. And I didn't really enjoy the way that LGBTQ characters were treated in this book. I don't understand why everyone thinks this is like an LGBT iconic like novel when sexuality and race play a huge core part in your story. I really want it to be done well, and I want it to be handled with care, and I don't think it was in this book. I just didn't enjoy it. So that's 7 Husbands. I don't want to talk about that book ever again. 1 star, because I DNF'd it. If I DNF something, it's automatically a 1 star. Next is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This was cute. It was cute. That's basically the biggest word. This is actually originally a Raylo fanfic that got adapted into a fully published novel, so they changed the names, the settings, and all that stuff. It has nothing to do with Star Wars, because I know nothing about Star Wars, so I wouldn't have read it if it was. But it follows a girl named Olive, and she is a PhD candidate in a science program, and she ends up fake dating a professor in the same department. She's not his student though, so technically it's like legal. It's not like teacher-student really, because she's not in any of his classes. But they end up in a fake dating relationship because Olive wants to prove to her best friend that it's okay if her best friend dates her ex because she's moved on. It's convoluted, I don't know. And then he ends up fake dating her because the department is like withdrawing some of his funds because they think he's gonna like move away, and so if he has this relationship, he thinks it'll help them, the department, see that he's like not going anywhere. The plot all over the place, kind of. But the fluff is really cute. I gave this a 3 stars, I think. I would probably be down to like a 2.5 if I'm being honest. The biggest thing for me though is that Olive was just so obnoxious, like the most annoying main character ever. Just that typical, like, I'm not like other girls, I'm clumsy. Oh my god, I spill everything. Oh my god, I'm embarrassing. And I originally got this because I heard that it was very smutty, which is not the case. There's like 1 or 2 smut scenes, and they are detailed, they are long, they're in depth, but they're at the very towards the end of the book. And the smut scene itself was ruined for me because during it, Olive is wearing thigh-high unicorn socks. She's supposed to be like late 20s, I'm pretty early 30s maybe, but she literally acts like a 16-year-old. So that's kind of what ruined it for me. But other than that, it was cute. Then I picked up Beach Read by Emily Henry. I gave this a 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed this, and I believe this was the first book that I read in February. This follows January and Augustus. They were basically like academic rivals growing up. They were both really smart, wanted to be writers, and so they were kind of pitted against each other in a sense. It's like years later, and January's dad dies, and she inherits this like second house that he had, and so she goes to kind of clean it up and deal with it, and like there's just a bunch of stuff going on with that, but she finds out that the neighbor of this house that she's recently inherited is Augustus. And so she goes to this house for the summer to like work on writing a new book. When she realizes Augustus is her neighbor, they sort of have a conversation, and then they work up a pact to write a book by the end of the summer, but they're gonna switch genres. So Augustus is gonna try writing a romance, which is her typical genre, and she's gonna try writing like a sci-fi mystery, which is his typical genre. And so they go on little excursions to like help each other know how to write and get information and like do research. And so yeah, it's like forced proximity, but I just really enjoyed it. I thought that Augustus was really freaking hot. I really liked him. I do want to read the rest of Emily Henry's books, but I haven't yet. But I really did enjoy it. The writing was good. Yeah, I liked it. 4 stars. Next, I read After by Anna Todd, and I did a whole reading vlog on this with my ratings, reviews, thoughts, so again, I will link that in the description box below, but I gave this 2 stars. Enough. We don't need to talk about that anymore, okay? After that, I picked up Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. This follows Misha and Ryan. Misha and Ryan were set up as pen pals when they were in school together, and they sort of just continued this pen pal relationship all the way up throughout high school, but then one day something happens and Misha transfers to Ryan's school, and when he sees Ryan in person, and Ryan is unaware that Misha is Misha at the time, he realizes that he hates Ryan. Ryan is nothing like she is in her letters, and then it sort of just follows them throughout the rest of their senior year. They're seniors at the time, and it's sort of like an enemies to lovers, but I would borderline say a bully romance. To me, it didn't feel like that, but I know some people really dislike this book because they think Misha's super toxic and they just don't understand. But to me, enemies to lovers, like, y'all need to hate each other. I don't mean like, oh, we just like, I think you're annoying, but now I love you. No, I want you to be enemies. Like, enemies to lovers. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars. The smut in this book, so freaking good. Misha Lair. Super edgy, super angsty, and I really enjoyed it. I loved this book, so 5 stars. Next, I read Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn is one of my favorite books of all time. It's my favorite thriller. I love the movie. It's iconic, and this has been on my shelf forever, and I finally picked it up and I read it. This follows Camille Preaker, and she is a reporter who grew up in, you know, like your typical southern small town, and her family's like really rich, and she hates her family. There's a bunch of trauma and stuff there. So she moved away, but then girls start going missing and being murdered in her hometown. So she is sent back to her hometown to report on it. And it just kind of follows everything that happens there. I really, really love this book. Gillian Flynn is just such a good freaking writer. This is definitely one of the top ones in terms of writing. Just impeccable writing. I believe I gave this a 4-star. Yeah, I really liked the ending. It's really good. The Hulu show isn't as good as the book, but I really like it. Did it beat Gone Girl? No. Was it still iconic? Yes. After that, I read Red Clocks by Lenny Zumas. This is a sort of dystopian feminist novel in a way. Basically, it's years in the future. Roe v. Wade has been canceled. Abortions are illegal. IVF is illegal. Single parent adoptions are illegal. Just all this stuff is going on, like this policing of women's bodies. And so this follows 5 women. They each have their own story. There's a teenager who becomes pregnant. There's a single woman who is trying to have a baby. There is a herbal medicinalist that's kind of helping people get abortions and get health care on the low illegally. There's a wife who has 2 kids and is in like a failing, crumbling, unhappy marriage. This book follows their individual stories, and then it kind of all like connects throughout as you read it. I gave this a 3-star, I want to say. I really wanted to like this book. The writing is really good. Sometimes it got very confusing. Like, some of the writing was a little bit too good for even me to comprehend. I was like, what am I reading? There were just certain things that I didn't really love about it. For me, with a book that has very different and multiple point of views, I hate when I feel like I'm rooting for some more than others, because then I feel like I'm just skipping ahead until I get to the chapters of the characters that I care about. But I think that this sparks really good conversations. It was really honest. It was opening. It was heartbreaking. I cried various times, but it was just missing some things for me. So yeah, it wasn't a 4 or 5 star. I think it could be for a few people, but just for me personally, I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to, but it was still very good. I still recommend. After that, I read the entire Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black. There is a 4th novella, and I do own it, but I haven't read it yet. I've been putting off on reading it because I feel like once I read it, then it's done. Then it's like really over. So yeah, but I did read the actual 3 core books in the series, starting with The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. This series basically follows a girl named Jude Duarte, and she is a human, but her sister, Vivi, is half fairy. And something happens, her parents die, and so her and her sisters, she has a twin named Taryn, so there's 3 sisters, they all have to move to Fairy and live with Vivi's biological dad, Matic. All of the fairies pretty much look down on humans. They just see them as like servants and unequals. And so Jude is trying really hard to fit in, but she's basically always just getting belittled and picked on by the fairy children, the fairy teenagers around her. She has this goal to become a knight and have power, because if she gets power, then maybe people will finally like respect her and whatever. And this kind of just follows her journey on doing that. But there is a prince, his name is Carden Greenbrier, and he is particularly cruel to her, like very much bullies her. Him and his friends just pick on her and hate her. And the only way that she's gonna be able to become a knight and get this power is if she basically like defeats Carden in a way. At least that's the plot with the first book. But then it kind of spirals and so much stuff happens by the end. I can't say too much about each individual book without spoiling things, but that's kind of where the story starts. And then it just goes on and on and on. It is a slow burn enemies to lovers romance, and it owns my freaking heart. I want to get a tattoo based off this series. I loved it so much. It's the first fantasy series I've given a chance since I was like in middle school, and I absolutely loved it. I love Holly Black's writing so much. It's just like, I will never get over this series. Yeah, I rated it 5 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, but honestly looking back, they're probably all 5 stars. Like, I'm not sure why I gave Wicked King a 4 star, because my favorite quotes from the entire series are all from this book, so I make it make sense. But either way, but the entire series itself is literally like 10 stars. Like, it's immaculate. Anyone knows where I can get my hands on the Barnes Noble exclusive editions? Bang my line. I will pay a heavy price. I need them in my life, but they don't print them anymore, so I'm very sad. Now we'll move in to the books that I read in March. I started off with Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is a dystopian novel. I was recommended this by a few of my friends, and it follows Citra and Rowan, and this is like many, many years in the future where the human race has eradicated illness, death, murder, basically. So humans live forever, but in order to maintain population control, there are these groups of scythes, is what they're called, and they are in charge of killing people off to regulate the population. Citra and Rowan get chosen to be apprentices for a scythe, and this kind of follows their journey because neither of them want this position, but being a scythe is like very, very honorable, so you can't really say no. Scythes are kind of like nuns and monks in the way that they have to just like dedicate their entire life to learning how to kill and who to kill and when to kill, and it's just this whole like society, and it just follows both of their journeys. And I gave this a 3 star. I really liked the premise and I loved the writing. Neil Shusterman is a brilliant writer. This is my first book by him, but it was beautifully written, and I liked the conversations and discussions about death and mortality and morality. The actual plot itself kind of felt lacking to me. By the end of it, it felt like there was nothing really at stake because everything had a sort of turnaround. Like, every roadblock just was able to be worked around and fixed, and I didn't really like that. I felt like the world needed a little bit more concrete building and stability, but I am hopefully going to read the rest of the series by the end of the year, so we'll see if I like the 2nd and 3rd book better, but it is a trilogy, and yeah, that's Scythe. After that, I read Verity and Ugly Love for my Colleen Hoover video that I mentioned earlier. Again, it'll be linked in the description box if you want to check it out. I gave Verity a 4 star and Ugly Love a 2 star, but that's all I'm going to say on that. Go to watch that video if you're interested in my full thoughts. After that, I read Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. I really just did not enjoy this book. I'm sad because Punk 57 was one of my 5-star reads, and this just did not live up to Punk 57 at all, in my opinion. This is actually a first book in a series, but this one follows a girl named Erica and Michael. Michael is Erica's boyfriend's older brother. So like boyfriend's older brother, yeah. But Michael was like a star on the football team in high school, and him and his 3 friends used to get in a lot of trouble. The night before Halloween every year is called Devil's Night. It's like a holiday that they celebrate, and these 4 boys go out and they just do illegal shit. It's like the Purge, kind of. And Devil's Night 3 years ago, Erica got invited to go with them, and then something happened that night, and 3 of the boys ended up going to jail. And now the boys are out of jail, and they want revenge on Erica. Naturally, Michael and Erica kind of end up falling for each other. I just felt like this was all angst and no plot. I gave it 2 stars. We were grasping for straws that weren't even there. It didn't really make sense, and the way that it ended and everything was kind of like resolved, and like the plot twists and stuff were just kind of like stupid to me. Like, I don't know. It just didn't give. It didn't give. I've heard that the rest of the series is better and people have told me to read it. I'm not sure if I will. I might. We'll see. But Corrupt didn't really do it for me, unfortunately. The last book that I read in March was The Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the first book in a 10-book series. Technically it's 2 5-book series, but you're supposed to kind of read them intertwined. And it's the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. I've heard amazing things about this series, so I finally started it and picked it up. The series overall follows a group of 3 sisters and their respective like partners and guys that they end up with, and they're kind of just this big friend group, but they're all really rich. It's like Gossip Girl, but in books. if that makes sense. But this is the first book, and it follows two of the core six, Lily and Lo. Lily is addicted to sex and Lo is addicted to alcohol, and so they have created this like fake relationship so that they can live together and kind of do their own thing, and they can both indulge in their addictions and kind of hide it from their family. And so this kind of follows their relationship, and I gave this a 3.5 star, I think, 3.5. It was cute. I think it was a good intro to the story, but it wasn't like amazing. It wasn't out of this world. I definitely think this is a series that it like gets better and better and better as you read it. At least that's what I've heard. I'm currently actually on book 2 right now. I haven't finished it, but yeah, it was cute. I really like Lo. Love Lo. Book boyfriend. But Lily, I feel like needs a lot more character development and growth for me before I start to like her, so that's kind of what brought it down. And then there was like a certain plot twist in here that didn't really make sense to me, like, or I just didn't like the way it was like written, basically. But yeah, it was good. I think it was a good start to the series. I am gonna try and read this series this year, the whole series. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that is basically it for my reading wrap up so far this year for January, February, and March. So far, it's been a pretty good reading year. I have discovered some gems. I've discovered some not so gems. I am excited to see what the rest of the year brings. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to check me out on my other socials down below, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye!